I don't see what I've done to deserve an applause, but if he feels he wants to encourage that, that's fine. Our Prime Minister, Excellency Abdoulie Janneh, former Mr. Sidi Ghazali, former Prime Minister of Algeria, Excellency Dr. Jamping, Chairperson of the African Union Commission, Mr. Mutuli Nkube, Chief Economist and Vice President, African Development Bank, and my good friend Tegetu, Mr. Administrator and Regional Director of UNDP Regional Bureau for Africa, participants, heads of ambassadors, the economist fraternity, Africans and Africanists, welcome. I'm delighted that you've all come to Addis Ababa for the 2011 Africa Economic Conference, especially this distinguished gathering demonstrates its continuing importance as a leading platform for engagement between policymakers, development experts, and researchers working on African economic and development issues. Before going to the body of my remarks, let me express my utmost sincerity for our highest appreciation to His Excellency, the Prime Minister, Abdoulie Janneh, for his intellectual leadership on global and regional development issues, and for demonstrating yet again, through his presence here, a continued willingness to share his carefully considered insights with us. We also have Dr. Jamping, the able leader of the African Union Commission, who was not supposed to be here, but when he knew that the meeting was on, he changed his program to be here. So Jean, we thank you considerably. And we have as a special guest the former Prime Minister of Algeria, a renowned intellectual, politician, but intellectual, to also join us. And of course, I salute my two colleagues, Mr. Nkube, who is here in his own right, but also for my good friend Don Kaberuka, who couldn't come because of the ongoing situation in Algeria, in Tunisia, and Tegetu, whom we are pleased to bring to Addis Ababa, and he's agreed that if I do that again, he'll give me a free ticket to Banjul. So on that basis, I have him here this time. Before Emmanuel has said our theme for this year's conference, Green Economy and Structural Transformation, is particularly relevant, apt and timely. Just yesterday, the ministerial segment of the Africa Preparatory Meeting for Rio +20 conference, which was again opened by the Prime Minister, which has the green economy as one of his themes, opened in this very hall. And it is useful for us to hear the views of a wider constituency before heading to Brazil for the global conference next year. It is also important to deliberate on the green economy at a high-level intellectual gathering such as this, because there is still concern in some quarters about what it means for sustainable development agenda agreed upon in Agenda 21 some 19 years ago. We can, of course, address this concern by clearly defining what we mean by the green economy, and to show that it does not subtract or detract from sustainable development, but rather further deepens our ability to promote the balanced integration of its economic, social, and environmental pillars. Insofar as the green economy means improving economic and social well-being, whilst ensuring that production processes and consumption patterns do not further damage the environment, then there will be no need to quibble about its importance. Indeed, it is now evident to all concerned that mankind needs to move from old resource-intensive methods of growth, in which progress has been at the expense of the environment, to one in which productivity is boosted by using and managing natural resources more efficiently and more effectively. Moreover, economic activity must take account of long-term consequences for the environment and the need to preserve our common heritage for future generations whilst promoting improved social conditions. Building a green economy is therefore an important element of the solution. Let me state, however, that commitment to building a green economy brings its own challenges. Although switching to a green growth path may enable leapfrogging of dirty and inefficient technologies, there are more fundamental dilemmas to grapple with, including costly adaptation and path dependence. Radical changes would be required in behavior from government, farms, and consumers, and matched by sufficient financial resources if this approach is to succeed. We also face a predicament in the sense that while the pressing priority for most African countries is to promote growth that creates jobs, the immediate effect of ongoing growth is a short-run increase in demand for food, energy, and water that may further burden the environment. It is against this background that we must examine how best the green economy can bring about structural transformation in Africa. In doing so, however, we must note that Africa has been growing quite steadily since the turn of the new millennium, with growth rates averaging about 5%. We therefore need to take this situation into account as we try to shift to a green growth trajectory, and especially as our major development partners are also grappling with debt, unemployment, and slow growth. Moreover, we must strive to ensure that our growth processes provide job opportunities for young people and give them hope for the future. In other words, to ensure that the green economy contributes to structural transformation in Africa, we have to overcome some of the challenges that I mentioned earlier. It will also mean providing a persuasive vision for the green economy, promoting green growth, determining key sectoral priorities, and establishing frameworks for coordination on national and international levels. If the green economy is to drive a process of structural transformation, it will be important to convey a clear vision to all stakeholders of what it entails and what is required to bring about. Creating awareness about the concept is an important and necessary first step in meeting this very important requirement, just as it would be necessary to highlight its potential contribution to growth and structural transformation. Quite fortunately, Africa has an abundance of natural resources, such as minerals, fishes, forests, wind, hydro, and solar, which provides it with the options for their long-term use in an eco-friendly manner. Similarly, it is possible to drive a green path, green growth agenda through well-targeted investments in renewable energy and manufacturing processes that minimizes pollution and the release of hazardous and toxic waste. This also points to the opportunities that abound in recycling and proper waste management. The green economy would also need to be properly coordinated with ongoing processes and must therefore be integrated in national development plans and strategies. African countries like our host country, Ethiopia, Kenya, Morocco, Rwanda, and South Africa, to mention but a few, are good examples of how the green economy could be used to create jobs, generate energy, and aim towards carbon-free targets. In addition, governments also have a role in establishing policy frameworks that will prioritize investments in the green economy and create incentives to overcome negative externalities and encourage private actors to embrace the idea. It is also important that international governance of the environment promotes rather than hinders green growth. There is legitimate fear that the green economy may allow for trade protectionism and imposition of additional policy conditionalities, and this needs not be the case if you promote and adopt global norms that make it easier to produce and trade in green goods. Additionally, since developed economies have the resources and the technological capacities needed to undertake required changes, serious consideration should be given to how best to assist African countries to implement agreed outcomes, including through the provision of accessible finance, building of local capacities, and access to green technologies. I hope that your deliberations here will contribute to addressing some of the issues that are before us so that the green economy contributes to the structural transformation on African economies. Mr. Jiangping, in coming here, said he has great respect for economists, that's what he told me. But he said you just give us 40, 50 scenarios as to how to move forward. And he hopes that that doesn't happen. And that really we'll have concrete, straightforward recommendations that we'll look at the possibility of implementing. With that message from Jean Ping, I wish you a productive conference and thank you for your attention. Thank you very much.